Qais Al Suwaidi is the Vice President in charge of sustainability at TAQA, and he now joins me. It's good to see you. Now, you attended the COP27 in Egypt. What were your experiences of that? How did you feel about it?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. As you know, COPs in general have rather recently become these, global events that are very unique in the way they set up, especially when it comes to them bringing together, government representatives, which is, what COPs are really about, climate negotiations, making sure we reach the next big deal, the next breakthrough when it comes to climate action, making progress on that front. But more recently, they've also become about climate activism. They've become about climate action from whole of society, as it were. A whole of society approach. You must have heard that term quite frequently mentioned in this setting at ADSW. So what COPs now are doing, they're bringing all parts of society. When it comes to TAQA, so for us at TAQA as an important utility company for the Middle East region, but globally, for TAQA it was a very important event, especially COP27, given that it comes just after we announced our emission reduction targets and ESG strategy. But it's also important because it gave us the opportunity to showcase and talk about the efforts we made recently to make climate action a reality, to make progress here in the UAE, but also globally. They were also important to make sure that we collaborate with other important players, whether in the UAE regionally or also globally.
So really this does bode incredibly well for a COP28. And in terms of TAQA itself, as you said, you're able to showcase your commitment at the COP27. So what are the interim goals and the group's recent ESG strategy? What are they, given what happened in Cairo and what can happen later this year?
Yeah, so last year was a big year for us in TAQA. We announced our, again, as you said, interim targets, the emission reduction targets, greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, and we also announced our ESG strategy. So our ESG strategy really focuses on 6 key areas, 6 material topics, as the jargon goes in ESG. One is, of course, given that we're a utility company, is our emission reduction target. So last year or the year before, we announced our commitment to net zero by 2050, in line with the UAE's ambition, but in line with the global ambition as well, achieving net zero by 2050. And last year, we announced our interim target, so the target that puts us on a pathway to achieve net zero by 2050. And that was 25% reduction in our emissions by 2030. And that translates into 33 reduction in our emissions in our UAE portfolio. We're, of course, a global company with footprint in 11 countries around the world. So that's the first thing. So together with the emission reduction targets, of course, come renewable energy. So we're ramping up investment in renewable energy and increasing the share of renewables within our portfolio. The other important area is water. So we are a key producer of water here in the UAE. Water desalination is an important source of water for us in this region. So we're committing also to switch at least 2/3 of our water production to the more sustainable reverse osmosis technology. In addition to that, in our distribution networks, we're going to reduce the water loss by 25% by 2030. So that when it comes to our emission, the E sort of pillar in our ESG strategy, the environment pillar for both water and electricity. When it comes to the social part, occupational health and safety is paramount for us in TAQA. So we work to improve that further. Community engagement, corporate social responsibility, that's also another key area for us. We're committing to increasing our spend when it comes to CSR. And then the third important pillar as well, that's also relevant, very relevant to the COP28 discussion, the COP discussions in general, is inclusivity and equal opportunity. So we want to make sure that women, people of different ages, different nationalities, are all, including people of determination, are included in our human resources, in our human capital and TAQA, both internally but also externally, working together with the broader community. And the third, sort of the G part of ESG, is governance. So corporate governance is also high up in our priorities. And then again, making sure our ESG strategy is implemented through strong and firm mechanisms within the company.
Qais Al Suwaidi, thank you so much for joining us. And Qais, of course, is the Vice President in charge of sustainability at TAQA. And I think they're going to be extremely busy in that run-up to the COP28.